For every person who decides to start something of their own, the reasons could be any number of things. For Rukaya, it was about community, connection, and love. Rukaya Kanchwala spent 20 years with companies like Dell, Rocket Internet, and Marico, looking at spreadsheets, being the let's hit that P&L powerhouse that she is. And eventually, she decided to take a slower, softer pace and create Around the Table, a Mumbai supper club where 8 strangers come together to slow dine, swap stories, and leave as friends. Building community from scratch, and why success sometimes looks like cooking 200 kebabs with your mom at 2 a.m.
I have been working for 20 years before I quit my corporate job, and in various roles. So I actually started out as an engineer in the US, um, and I was at Dell. I worked there for 8 years, and I had moved into kind of a product management role by the time I left. After that, I got my MBA. And so, yeah, so I got my MBA from INSEAD. And then after INSEAD, I was in Japan for a few months. I worked with Rocket. And with Rocket itself, I then came to India. I've actually, before moving to India, I never actually lived in India. I didn't grow up here. I grew up in the Middle East, in Kuwait. And yeah, so it was my first stint even working and living in India was with Rocket. And when I came here, I absolutely loved it. So I decided not to move back or move away because I really enjoyed working here. With Rocket, I did 5 years in India in various companies. The largest stint was in Jabong, which is now kind of shut down. But at one
Yeah.
point, it was the largest fashion marketplace in India. And after that, I have worked in various industries, so fashion, fintech, food, and my last role was in Marico, where I was building out digital first brands for them in FMCG. And yeah, it was great. I worked there for 3 years. Um, After a while, though, after 3 years, I felt that burnout, hit me, and I decided to quit my job. I thought it would be a short stint. I would take like a few months off, but once I quit, um, and I traveled, and I had a blast, and I was away from the computer for many months. I could not imagine, going back into the very routine, 9 to 5 job. My roles have always been P&L driven, and I actually, very numbers driven, and I enjoy that. But they've also been very intangible, right? Because e-commerce tends to be very intangible. Everything's on the computer. Everything is, from that perspective. And it took me a long time. It took me many months to figure out what that would be and how that would look like, and all of that. But yeah, that's kind of the inception of how we started, or how I started Around the Table.
Wow. That sounds like such a, like you've covered all the roles that were there. You did the whole engineering bit, you did the product management bit, and then the brand bit, and then decided. To me, it sounds like the moment of clarity was simply just to say that I want to do something with my hands. But what decision followed that clarity?
When I quit my job, I knew I wanted to do something with my hands, and I knew I wanted to cook. And the reason I also knew that would be food related was because even when I was, for me, food has been an integral part of my life. Not in a sense of like, oh, eating it. Of course, we all eat food, but I grew up in Kuwait. So when my parents moved to Kuwait, they
Uh-huh.
were one of the early kind of immigrants to Kuwait at the
Indian.
time.
Okay.
And for them, food was a way to connect to community, right?
Uh-huh.
So growing up, we are Dawoodi Boras. So
Hmm.
Boras are a type of like sect of Muslims,
Yes.
Shia Muslims, yeah. And growing up, I've seen my mom host these, large community dinners, like literally 100, 200 people at home,
Uh-huh.
because that was the way to get the community together. right? So her
Wow.
events were something that people would look forward to for the year, because they
Wow.
knew, like, they knew that Kheer Puri is happening at Shirin's house. They knew
Huh.
that, Hajri is happening. It's going to happen in this month, this date. And it was
Hmm.
already, there was always a calendar. So, and my mom, and every year I saw it increase, right? So it's started like 50, then 60, then 100. Then, like at some point we were cooking for like 100, 200 people at any point in
Wow.
time.
Wow.
And 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 all of those occasions were such a celebration for us, right? So
Hmm.
for me, when I was young, I was helping my mom in the kitchen, but not just me, like our entire family. My dad would go buy groceries. We would have
Hmm.
aunts come over to help with like making the puris, and then like literally thals full of kebabs, like where she would
Hmm.
arrange them, right? Like over like days. I mean,
Hmm.
so it was a celebration where we would stay up till late at night helping her and chit chatting and gossiping and
Hmm.
and all of that. So for me, food has always been very central from when I was young. When I moved to the US, then again I was very lonely, right? Like I didn't have family around or anything, and it was again a way of me building a community. So similarly, when I moved there, I started like doing, like I would just cook. First I started just cooking for myself, then I realized cooking for myself is like I cook too much, I can't eat it all. I would then just start inviting people, like literally people I had just met, like an hour before. I'd be like, oh, why don't you come over and eat, and it
Oh.
started becoming this thing where once a week I would just do, like I would cook whatever I wanted, and I would just send out a note, and whoever,
Hmm.
like the first six people who said yes, I want to come, they would just come and eat with me, right? And it was
Hmm.
up to me. It was a way that I would experiment and cook new
Hmm.
things. um but it was a way for me to bond with people, right? Like it was a
Hmm.
way for me to shy, like to take away the loneliness, right, that I
Yeah.
was feeling. And soon that then evolved into, a lot of people were like, oh, like why do you not teach us how to cook? So I started giving cooking classes. Yeah, and then I did catering. So all of this I used to do on the side, outside of work. One of my cooking classes, I actually had like a chef come. He ran a French restaurant in Austin, and he came to the class, and I didn't know he was a chef at the time, and he really enjoyed the class. And then he pinged me and saying like, oh, like if you want, why don't you come work in my restaurant? And so,
Wow.
yeah, and so that's what I did. Then I worked in the day at Dell, and then in the nights I would go work in the restaurant. um,
Wow.
yeah, and it was my first kind of exposure into a more formal kind of food sector.
Organized. Yeah.
And while I would say that I am very thankful for that experience, I also realized through that experience that I didn't want to work in a restaurant. Like I would
Hmm.
not enjoy that environment. But it was
Hmm.
great. I worked there for about 8 9 months. I learned a lot about,
Hmm.
and I also learned that running restaurant is more about running a business and less about your passion and your love for food, and all of that kind of takes a backseat. But it was very very important. So yeah,
Hmm.
even then when I quit my job, like in 2023, I thought that yes, I want to do something in the food space. I just was not sure what it would look like. Then I had the idea to do supper clubs, but I discussed it with my husband, and my husband was like, "Oh, but you don't do a specialization, because I don't like to cook. I've been from all over, right? So I don't like to cook a certain regional cuisine. Like I will cook whatever I feel like, but I balance my meal. So I think about like, oh, it should be colorful. There should be like textures. It should not all be fried. It should not all be carbs. So I plan a lot. But then after a few months, I had this very like I had a night where I was just like, no, I've enjoyed myself. I've traveled a lot. I've partied a lot.
Hmm.
And now I just want to do it. So I said that, okay, I'm going to just do it. I'm going to
Uh-huh.
start the supper club. From that night until then, in within a week, I did the first table, right? So yeah, and it's great. I mean, I've had a lot of support. So one is I do around the table with Ishita, who's actually my sister-in-law. So our husbands are brothers. So she comes from a very creative background. She does
Uh-huh.
advertising. And so she was like, I have a lot of ideas around it, and stuff like that. Then I was like, why do you not just do it with me? um,
Hmm.
and that's how we started. So we started literally
Wow.
the week after, and we've basically been doing supper clubs almost every weekend. We
Hmm.
do it. Yeah, I think the last count we done maybe about 100 odd events already. So
Wow.
yeah, it's great. I've enjoyed it.
That it sounds like you're enjoying it. It sounds like it's love. It sounds like food is like family. It's love.
Yeah,
It's something that keeps you happy and
and that's why we've enjoyed this, because it's not only about cooking. So Ishita and I do all the cooking ourselves. We have no help. Like, we do everything ourselves. But it's more about the hosting, the getting to know people, the talking, and that's been a big reason why we shied away from catering, right? So we get a lot of catering requests, but we don't do it because that's not what we enjoy. Like, we don't enjoy just the cooking part of it. We enjoy the presenting our story, presenting the menu, putting the personal touches, talking to people, getting to know them, right?
yeah,
And then building that, as you rightly mentioned, building that community
yeah,
around food, and which has been great. I mean,
yeah.
so that has been the fun thing for us.
And I saw somewhere that it's generally 6 to 8 people, and they are typically strangers. Is it? Do you try to put them together in the sense that okay, these group of people might work together, or is it just the people who sign up?
So no, both ways. So if we have more demand, then
Hmm.
yes, then we kind of select people. But what
Ah,
we've also seen is people from very different backgrounds, right,
ah,
connect and have such a great time.
ah,
And who are we to basically say, yeah, like, we think
yeah.
people will work together?
Right now, it's just about enjoying the space and being the host and creating that experience for
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
And in this journey, when you have become a full-on entrepreneur at the scale and at the version that you like, what's the one thing that you learned about yourself?
Oh, so a big thing that I learned about myself is that I don't want to be the sole entrepreneur. What I find is having that other person who has my back. And more than having my back, it's more about just having this person that I can talk to, and sometimes it can be conversations that might not even lead to anything. But just me venting and saying like, oh, I had a tough day, and my god, I'm having disasters in the kitchen today, and like, things are not working out, or whatever. Just having that person to talk to, for me,
Hmm.
it has been great. um,
Yeah,
and I realized that I do much better in this kind of environment. And honestly speaking, I mean, I think that even in my corporate journey, not just in my previous startup journey, even in my
huh?
corporate journey, I've always held roles which I feel have been me against the larger establishment, right?
Oh,
So
okay.
because I've always taken on like these underdog businesses that need to, dramatically
Nurture.
become bigger, and I have to fight against all odds, right, to get there.
Yeah,
And suddenly being in an environment where I feel like very, like somebody with me in it has been
hmm.
amazing. Yeah, it
Yeah,
has, and I realized that that's what I want, and want to flourish, right? So
yeah,
I don't want to be alone. Like, I don't enjoy it. It's not like I was alone in my previous roles. I mean, I had a team and all of that, but when you are the sole person, then I mean, everything falls on you, right? Like, if and I'm so that is one. The other thing is that my approach to this is very different from my previous approach to my previous startup, um, which is that I went in saying that I'm just going to do what I enjoy. I'm going to let it take its time, and we will see how it evolves. I have not come in with any sort of notions of what I want it to look like, what it's going to be, how big I want to be, how many crores I want it to be. I've not gone with any such notion. Versus in my previous startup, like, because I just kind of exited Rocket, I had that mindset of like, oh, build big, build fast, build big, right? So like just do that. And this time, and in all my roles, it's always been, oh, do crores, do 100 crores, do 1,000 crores, do
Hmm.
so now just doing something just with no goal. Some
Hmm.
might say it doesn't work, and that's okay. I mean, maybe it will work, maybe it will not, and that's
Yeah.
fine. But I have decided I will give myself the time that I want or need for this to grow at the pace it needs to grow. I'm not going to hurry it. I'm going to let it take its time. And
Hmm.
hopefully, at one point, it will, spiral into something big. That's my
Yeah.
hope, right? But
Hmm.
for now, I just want to build, and then we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes.
That's the part that sounds like a full 360 pivot, right? From something which was from a life that was harsh, that was aggressive, that was fast paced, that was very clinical, to doing something which is slow and soft and nurturing and warm, for the lack of a better
Yeah,
word.
I agree. I agree. I mean, sometimes I will try to, I will automatically revert back. I mean, I still look at numbers, I still create spreadsheets for
Yeah, of course,
everything.
of
And
course.
Ishita will be like, why do we need a spreadsheet? But that's just okay. That's that. I mean, some things, I mean, and I think for the everything has its space, right? Of course, I
Yeah.
want to still track, I still want to know how we're doing and what we're doing and stuff like that. So yeah, but yeah, I agree with you, Neha. I think that's been the big change. In fact, last night only I was having this conversation with my husband, because he was like, oh, where do you want to go? It's like, because now we finished a year last weekend. He's like, now where do you want to go from here? And I said, why does a year signify anything? Like, to me, a year is just an arbitrary number. Like, who said it's supposed to be a year or 5 years or 6 months? I mean, it can be anything, right? And I've not gone in saying that, oh, like in a year or in 5 years or in 10 years, this is what I needed to be. And he was like, okay. This is a very this is a
He's
very
like,
different
कुछ नहीं हो
mindset.
सकता अभी छोड़ दो.
Yeah, and he's like, but also I will say that I'm very privileged. Yeah, like for me to be able to do this at the pace that I want to do it means that, yeah, okay, I mean, I've worked so hard for so long, so I can do it, right? Because I've saved enough to be able to do it. So I will never discount the privilege that I come from.
I agree on you in the sense that there is privilege. The other point of view that I would look at it is that this is the fruit of your labor. You worked hard, you got something, and now this is what you want to do with that labor. So that's what it sounds like. In fact, while you were speaking earlier, you mentioned, we touched briefly on the fact that you still make spreadsheets, you still kind of do all of those things. And I'm guessing there would have been while there is so much clarity, there must have also been some amount of unlearning of sorts to say, oh yeah, I cannot function like this in this new environment. Was there ever a point like
Yes, I feel every day there is a point like that. But I mean, the big unlearning for me that that I have to get used to is that the point that I made of, like, this is going to take time, right? So
that?
because I am a very aggressive, ambitious person, I don't think that's going to go away. That's also part of my nature.
Yeah.
I am that kind of person.
Hmm.
It there are times where I'm like, no, I want to do more. I want to do
Hmm.
I can do more, but then that requires me to then, inorganically build, right? Which is like spend money, get more customers, and so on. But then I feel like then that's not how I'm going to build my brand. I have to constantly remind myself that you might want to go faster, but right now you're too young to go faster, right? I mean, in a business like this, it's all about building that brand and building that trust, and that will take time. And that's what I mean, that at some point I think that automatic virality will build, right? And I don't know what that timeline is, right? So yeah, so that's the unlearning for me, is to be a little bit less aggressive, to literally like chill out. I mean, Ishita tells me all the time, like, just relax, like, it's okay, like, and that's what I meant to say when I say
Ah.
privilege, right? I have the privilege of of taking, like, be laying low, right?
Mm.
Like, and while I'm not used to using that privilege, I am now learning to use that privilege a
Get
little.
that privilege. Makes sense. Makes sense. You mentioned that the first time you shared, your husband was like, "What's happening?" And Ishita, your partner, was actually quite this thing. What were some places where support came, or motivation came from, which was unexpected?
I feel like I mean, again, I have been very, very happily surprised by the support that strangers have given us. I mean, literally, we have people who just who trust us, right? Who blindly trust us. You have to understand, like, I usually don't even tell you what I'm cooking. I'm saying, you pay me, you come, and you will have a good time. Now, initially, for the first few months, it was people who knew me, who knew Ishita, who were coming. So they know kind of, how we cook. Maybe they've never eaten my food, but they know who I am, things like that, right? But now it is complete strangers who are trusting
Mm.
us, yes, to deliver an experience. And one is they come, and I'm assuming they have a great time, because then after that they talk about us so much, and they proactively, without us even asking, they will
Mm.
proactively put up stuff on their social media. They will tell their family and their friends,
Mm.
and then their friends come to us, and these are people who've never known us, right? Who have no obligation in any manner. And to me, that daily, it surprises me, because daily I see it. And there
Mm.
are many ways that I don't even see it, but the few ways that I do see it, I'm always very, very grateful that they do it, because there's no other way for me to grow my business than people talking about me.
Yeah.
But I'm yeah, I mean, the people's, like, I think, just their excitement about what we're doing, and their positivity about
Mm.
us is
Mm.
always very surprising to me. Yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for it.
Yeah. I feel like, this has been my experience. I feel like when you are building something new, more often than not, strangers will support you more, or more enthusiastically, than the people that you know. It could be a lot of reasons, but it seems like that is what happens in the beginning. Before you get support from people you know, you get support from strangers. Has that been your experience as well?
I think, yes. I mean, I think so there have been some people where, okay, at least I can't talk from Ishita's perspective. I can only talk from my perspective. Yeah, I mean, there are some people where, um, for example, like my
Hmm.
family themselves, right? Like my
Hmm.
dad. My dad, you have to understand, he's the kind of person who's worked in the same company for 50 years, right? I mean, he's now retiring after finishing 50 years. He's worked in the same company.
He wouldn't do change well.
Huh? Yeah,
He wouldn't do change well.
yeah, he doesn't take change well. I mean, he's amazing. He's very,
Of
very
course.
smart and all of
Yeah.
that. But, like, for example, when I first told him that,
Hmm.
I'm doing this, in his mind, he, like, outwardly, he is supportive. But I
Uh-huh.
also know, like, that he thinks that it is a hobby, right? Like, he thinks that it's a side business, it's a hobby, and eventually you will take on a big job, or like
Hmm.
a role that is suitable for your years of
Or your
experience, and for your education that you have invested so much money in, and all of that.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and now I think, now he's slowly getting used to it. So that's what I mean by, I mean, everyone has been supportive. I think that, yes, sometimes I think family is always the hardest, especially if they're used to seeing you in a different avatar, and they're not used to, like, because for my father, he's like, oh, you're cooking for people, right? Like
You
you do
can't get
that
that.
anyways. Like, cook for yourself, cook for your family, like, you
Uh,
cook, kind of thing. But, like,
uh,
so for that, for him.
uh,
And this is just an example, right? So I think maybe the people who know us, And I
Hmm.
thought about this a little bit. I think the people who know us in a certain way. So I
Hmm.
think even if they're not supportive, they're probably just not, because they're still not been able to make that change, right,
Hmm.
in their mind to say that, oh, she wants to take things slow, for example.
Hmm.
Like, I have friends who have known me from my startup days or from my, like, crazy days, and and they, and they will still sometimes call me saying, like, yeah, now, like, oh, so now you will do catering, and now you can, like, do you think long term you want to start a restaurant and then do many restaurants? And I'm like, wow, like, I'm not even thinking that long term. So for them, they're not used to seeing me like this, right? Like, and in their way, they believe they're helping, and which is fine. I think they probably are, because I think it's always good to be reminded of what you can achieve and what you should be aiming for. But in then they tend to, like, pull away, like they will not come as often, and so on, right?
Ah,
Because
yeah.
they're not used to seeing you like this.
You're not used to seeing me like this. Yeah. And what was the one thing that surprised you about yourself in this journey?
I think it's never like any big surprises, right? I think it's always like, as I said, like the whole taking a step back, learning to like calm down. And I think, but it's not something that I've achieved yet, right? So it's slow and steady. I think more than anything else, I've enjoyed the ability to meet people across, like, these are people I would never have met
Of
otherwise,
course.
right?
Hmm.
So across, like, different parts of their life phase, right? Like, there are people who are very young, there are people who are much older who come.
Hmm.
um, there are people who are doing vastly different things than I can even think of or imagine. And it's always, for me, it's always a joy to watch people who are doing very, very different things or different parts of life connect really well,
And just
right?
hit it off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and hit it off, and it's been nice to see that happen at the supper club. I mean, a big
Yeah.
reason for the supper club for me is because I know what it's like to be in a new city. I've moved around so much my whole life. I have every 2 or 3 years we have moved. Even when we moved to India, like, we have moved, and I know what it's like to be in a city, and it's a chaotic city, but you are lonely, which is very weird, right? Like, you're in such a busy city, and there are so many people around you. At work, there are so many people. At home, there are so many people, but you still feel this loneliness. And I know what it's like. And I think for me, the supper club is a way to say that, are there other ways to connect with people, even if it's for a few hours. Our hope is that you take some of these relationships even past outside, but maybe or maybe not. That's up to each person. But can you, at least for that few hours a week, you know, take a break and just have like conversations that have no agenda behind. It's just to have fun, just to chit chat, just to maybe learn more about yourself, maybe learn more about people, kind of thing. So that is the
Hmm. Connection, community, love.
yeah.
Those seem to be your
Come, you
your
see
your
that my marketing for me.
but and through this conversation you've said it so many times that you don't really want to have like a number attached to it or a space attached to it, timeline attached to it. But I'm guessing at some point there is a vision attached to it. Is there a version of the supper club you're like, okay, if this happens, no matter when it happens?
Yeah, so for me, like, the vision is that growing or creating a, like, a space. And again, the space doesn't have to be a physical space. It can be even a digital space, but having a space where you can connect with people over food in whatever manner, right? So it can be conversations, it can be by cooking. I mean, and that's why we try to do a lot. So outside of the supper clubs, we have, for people who've come to a supper club, we've created like a smaller community where we call it the enthusiast group. where we do other things, like we do restaurant meetups, we'll do potlucks, we do house concerts. We've even done like, oh, like I'll be like, oh, I want to go for a run, anyone wants to join me? People will come for a run with me. Um, so yeah so my aim is that, can I kind of create this community of people that can, you know, connect with one another over food, right? And in a and I don't know yet like what it's going to look like, right? Like I mean, I don't know if it's going to be bigger than Bombay. Is it going to be, like, and so on, that yet I don't know. And does that
Hmm.
mean that I have to then do many more supper clubs in different areas rather than only being restricted to, right now we only do it in Bandra and
Hmm.
do it in other areas? I'm not sure yet. But that's my vision.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm not sure yet, and that's okay. I think that's a good way to kind of, because if it is a fulfilling journey that you want to go on, then it cannot come with conditions that if this happens it'll make me happy, or if that happens
Yeah.
that'll make me happy. So I really I think it's been such a enlightening conversation, because when you look at LinkedIn, you only see what LinkedIn
Yeah.
tells you, right? There is so
Yeah.
much more to the person and the story, and I'm so thankful that you shared this with me. As a parting gift, if there is someone who's watching this and they're probably feeling the same, feeling a little burnt out, not liking the way their life looks like, would you like to? What's the one thing that can kind of help?
Yeah, I think definitely, if you feel like you're stuck, right, then one is change something.
Hmm.
um, I mean, I'm not saying quit your job, right? Not,
Hmm.
it does not work for everybody, but
Yeah.
can you take on a new hobby, right?
Hmm.
Learn a new language. um, these are things I've done when I was feeling stuck.
Hmm.
And that way you will meet a whole set of people that you would not have been exposed to otherwise, right? So if you're doing
Yeah.
a new hobby, you meet people who are not from work, who are not from home, who are not family, who are not from your normal friend circle. And I think that really helps. And ultimately, if it's a more dramatic change, like the kind of change I made, I
Hmm.
think what is important is to to basically identify what is going to make you happy. Or not
Hmm.
even happy is a very maybe not. I feel content, right? You're not
Yeah.
always going to be happy 100% of the time. It's not possible. But what will make you content? And I think
Hmm.
it's a journey. I think that changes. I had to do a lot of thinking about it, right? And I don't think I have any answers yet. But what I would say is that at least I realized that it's getting the next role, making more money, um, or like creating another business
Hmm.
uh, in a company is not bringing me contentment,
Hmm.
right? And that's when I needed to take a step back to say that, okay, how am I going to be content? And right now I'm working towards it, because what I've realized is meeting people like this, where and using my hands to make people happy is making me content, right? So
Yeah.
that's making me content.
Hmm.
I think it changes from person to person.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the first step, like you very rightly said, is to ask the question, what makes you content? And then maybe the answer will evolve and come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rukaya. It was a wonderful opportunity to speak with you. And I genuinely hope that I get to experience Supper Club here in Gurgaon really soon.
Yeah, please, otherwise you come to Bombay for sure.
Yeah.